that poem you were teaching.
Yeah, you had some thoughts about it?
He says you call the story Time, but you can't say its name. Why's that?
I think it's because we're in time and of time. But to name, you separate yourself from something when you name it. And I think he means we can't be separated from time.
I thought he meant it was like the name of God. You know how the Hebrews weren't supposed to say God's name.
Tell me a story. In this century and moment of mania, tell me a story. Make it a story of great distances and starlight. The name of the story will be Time, but you must not pronounce its name. Tell me a story of deep delight.
In almost every religion, there are unpleasant observances like fasting. This man suddenly remarks one day, "No one need fast while I am here." Who is this man who remarks that his mere presence suspends all normal rules? Who is the person who can suddenly tell the school they can have a half holiday? Sometimes the statements put forward the assumption that he, the speaker, is completely without sin or fault. This is always the attitude. You to whom I am talking are all sinners. And he never remotely suggests that this same reproach can be brought against him. He says again, "I am the begotten of the one God. Before Abraham was, I am." And remember what the words "I am" were in Hebrew. They were the name of God, which must not be spoken by any human being, the name which it was death to utter.
The body is not one member, but many. Now, are they many, but of one body?
I'm here today to talk to you about reality. That this is not real. It is merely the limitation of our senses, which are meager devices. Your angers and your griefs and your separations are a fevered hallucination, one suffered by us all, we prisoners of light and matter, our faces pressed to the bars, looking out, looking up, asking the question, begging the question, are you there? Would that we had ears to hear, because every moment, every now is an answer. Every beat of every heart, every second of every minute of every hour of every day is an answer. Your sorrows pin you to this place. They divide you from what your heart knows. And we bandage our soft selves in hardness and anger. You are a stranger to yourself, and yet he knows you.
There is no halfway house, and there is no parallel in other religions. If you had gone to Buddha and asked him, "Are you the son of Brahma?" he would have said, "My son, you are still in the veil of illusion." If you had gone to Socrates and asked, "Are you Zeus?" he would have laughed at you. If you had gone to Mohammed and asked, "Are you Allah?" he would first have rent his clothes and then cut your head off. If you had asked Confucius, "Are you heaven?" I think he would have probably replied, "Remarks which are not in accordance with nature are in bad taste." The idea of a great moral teacher saying what Christ said is out of the question. In my opinion, the only person who can say that sort of thing is either God or a complete lunatic suffering from that form of delusion which undermines the whole mind of man. Then we come to the strangest story of all, the story of the resurrection. It is very necessary to get the story clear. I heard a man say, "The importance of the resurrection is that it gives evidence of survival, evidence that the human personality survives death." On that view, what happened to Christ would be what had always happened to all men, the difference being that in Christ's case we were privileged to see it happening. This is certainly not what the earliest Christian writers thought. Something perfectly new in the history of the universe had happened. Christ had defeated death. The door which had always been locked had, for the very first time, been forced open. This is something quite distinct from mere ghost survival. I don't mean that they disbelieved in ghost survival. On the contrary, they believed in it so firmly that, on more than one occasion, Christ had had to assure them that he was not a ghost. The point is that while believing in survival, they yet regarded the resurrection as something totally different and new. The resurrection narratives are not a picture of survival after death. They record how a totally new mode of being has arisen in the universe. Something new has appeared in the universe, as new as the first coming of organic life. This man, after death, does not get divided into ghost and corpse. A new mode of being has arisen. That is the story. What are we going to make of it? The question is, I suppose, whether any hypothesis covers the fact so well as the Christian hypothesis. That hypothesis is that God has come down into the created universe, down to manhood, and come up again, pulling it up with him. The alternative hypothesis is not legend, nor exaggeration, nor the apparitions of a ghost. It is either lunacy or lies. Unless one can take the second alternative, and I can't, one turns to the Christian theory. What are we to make of Christ? There is no question of what we can make of him. It is entirely a question of what he intends to make of us. You must accept or reject the story. The things he says are very different from what any other teacher has said. Others say, "This is the truth about the universe. This is the way you ought to go." But he says, "I am the truth and the way and the life." He says, "No man can reach absolute reality except through me."